Hey guys, welcome to Darryl Talks to Bands. This is the Darryl Talks to Bands bunker. I record shows here, of course, not in front of a live studio audience, but hey, in a post-COVID world, anything is possible. Maybe we'll get some guests on the couch, playing some music, hanging with the dog. So many things to look forward to, so many activities. On today's show, I've got Jen Simpson. She's in two bands, Neon Bloom and Kit Vale, and we'll start it off with a badass video. It's almost a year old. Neon Bloom has some new music that we'll get to in the show, but this one is called It's a Crime, and the video kills. It's on Darryl Talks to Bands. All right, I'm talking to Jenny Simpson today from the bands Neon Bloom and Kit Vale. And Jenny, we kind of met through it was like interview chat roulette during virtual Indie Week this year.
Yes.
Which was interesting, but it's good to have you on the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you have two musical projects. We're going to touch on both of these. We just heard the song "It's a Crime." Now, the first listen for me on this song was actually with the video, which was, I think, the best way to hear this song for the first time, because the video is completely badass. Let's talk about that for a second. Where was the video filmed?
So we filmed the video in Prague while we were on a mini tour in Czech Republic. And so we basically combined our sightseeing with filming a video, and we only had about a week there, so we spent a few days running around, filming scenes, and also seeing, there's a castle, the bridges that are really famous there, all these amazing buildings in Prague, and pretending to beat each other up everywhere. So yeah, it was like a European spy film type of vibe. Yeah.
I was gonna say you're like the female Jason Bourne in that,
yeah.
and
and
you're running around in Prague. I knew it was somewhere in Europe, but you're running around these cobblestone streets in heels and a mini skirt, beating the crap out of two like agent looking guys coming after you. Were there any mishaps in the filming? Because I mean, I know it takes skills to run in heels to begin with. Not that I have experience in doing that. But in cobblestone, there's just another level there.
It's really difficult. I've done worse, like more difficult things in heels than that for sure. And I did wear like somewhat sensible shoes for that. Like they had a heel, but not too bad. It wasn't like stilettos. Okay. So it was okay. But we are for the fight scenes, we were choreographing everything on the fly and filming it, so we ended up actually like hitting each other a couple times, kicking each other a little bit, so there were a few of those mishaps. But we were okay. And then and what else happened? I had an injury right before we left for Prague, so my collarbone and all in my shoulder, I had like torn some stuff here, and my collarbone was all messed up. So that was the worst part. I was kind of nursing an injury the whole time, and then also trying to punch, and that was the worst part for me, I'd say.
So was the injury related to doing something awesome?
No, unfortunately. I wish. I had a seizure. I have epilepsy, so I'd had a seizure actually at band practice, and my shoulder got sort of caught. Normally it's okay, I lie down and it just passes, but I got my shoulder caught in a couch, so it was stuck while I was moving. And so when that happens, you're like kind of jerking pretty violently, so it can like tear stuff. And so yeah, not awesome. Unfortunately, but yeah, it happens. It's happened a few times, but yeah, the band, we've been through a lot. So like we've been through seizures and filming videos and traveling, and yeah, it was all kind of like mixed together during that video.
Yeah, and that video is just almost a year old now. So and you've got a new EP on the way too. So you guys are pretty active with the band. There's a couple things about the video. Now, when you're fighting in like the streets, and the backdrops are in Prague are just beautiful, right? Like stunning. Like that one spot where you're along like the riverside. I was just like, do people see what's happening? Because I think if I saw two guys fighting a girl, I'd probably try to intervene. I'd like to think I'm the type of person that would intervene.
Oh yeah. A lot of people would start kind of coming towards us, or they'd be standing watching, like unsure of what's going on. But when they'd see Fred with the camera, they'd be like, oh, okay. And then they just watch. And at the end, I'd beat the guys up and everyone would clap. And there were boats going by on the river, and they were like looking out the window, watching. And it was pretty funny. So there's quite a bit of that. Definitely we were causing a bit of a scene the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great video for just something that, I mean, the way that you explained you did it, you're just kind of sightseeing. You're like, all right, let's break out a fight scene here, and then you guys are going to chase me down this street, like that kind of thing. To me, that is just really cool because you're just doing it kind of on the fly. You're improvising. You're not storyboarding the whole thing, which is what, a lot of bands do that to get their videos perfect the way they want. And I think you guys captured a great video just by winging it, it sounds.
Thanks. Yeah, we didn't even have the ending really worked out. And then we found these, the brass knuckles in a store there that you see in the last scene. And we're like, that would work. Okay. So we got those and added that whole bit in. So.
Yeah, that is like the still image when you pull it up on YouTube too. I mean, just for people listening to the podcast that might not have seen it, you've got the two guys, you're in like a flat now, like in an apartment, and they're tied to a chair, and then you reach into like the top of your stocking to pull out a pair of brass knuckles, and they're like, oh no, and then the video ends. So I mean, it's sexy, it's dangerous, it's got all these great elements to it, and paired with a great song. So I think you guys did an incredible job with It's a Crime.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
There is new stuff now. You guys have a new EP that was just called Still Life.
Mhm.
And so I mean, it's tough to always try and draw comparisons musically with bands. And I know that they don't always love that, but there's some elements in your music that I really dig. And I hear a little bit of Portishead in there. Like there's a little bit of Yeah, Yeah, Yeahs, some Fantagram, which has some hip hop elements to it kind of as well. Yeah, I got that, especially from the opening track, Novocaine,
Yes.
which I really dug. It was kind of a down tempo. It's a little bit funky, but it's got like these nice kind of pretty vocals to it and everything. So tell me a little bit about that song.
So that is quite different from a lot of the other songs we've done. They're more rock or synthy garage rock combinations. So this entire EP was written and recorded during quarantine. So it was all it affected the way we ended up writing. And that was actually our first kind of hip hop song that we did. And yeah, the instrumentation was different than what we usually do, because there was no limit really to what could be used. So I know Simon, the keyboardist and guitarist in the band, and Fred, the bassist, they started putting together the basis for that track, and then I wanted to rap over most of it, and then add in like sort of a more melodic chorus. So we just went for it, worked it out over the phone, over video chats, and sending stuff back and forth. It was a bit tedious at first, but we got it down, and then we had a friend of Fred's who ended up scratching, adding like scratching in the bridge, and yeah, and we're really happy with how it turned out. So
Yeah, like I love those hip hop elements. I don't know if you can see here. Can you see turntables right there?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Nice.
to me that really spoke to me. It's like all of a sudden this comes in because on It's a Crime, it's got a bit more of an indie rock vibe to it. Like there's some guitars that are a little crunchy in the chorus and stuff, but this is more kind of electronic and a little synth bass. But then there's those scratches on top of it, which gives you that little bit of, like I said, like a Portishead, like that kind of 90s kind of trip
Yeah.
hop vibe to it, which was really cool. So you must be into that kind. You must be into hip hop of the 90s and stuff like that.
Um, I do like it. I mean, I remember actually like kind of the '80s political hip hop really like hit it with me. Like I when I was really little, I remember listening to that and being inspired and not forgetting it. And I'd like run around rapping when I was a little kid and like always just making up rhymes and stuff. So and then I kind of went more into to like rock. Definitely, yeah, there's some hip hop included in that, and I think lyrically, it's so interesting to. It's such a great vehicle for getting a message out or a story, or it's a great way to convey whatever it is you're trying to say.
That's right. Through every season, you and me, real deal. Oh, will they see the feels? Hearts can bring some champagne and acid rain days. Juvenile green miles, till I'm the one you blame. Novocaine for love pain's always falling. Do it again, like we knew what love was then. Love pain, love pain, love pain, love pain, love pain, pain's
Nowhere in the King's argument was there any attempt to understand the other person's viewpoint or to find the real issue.
Okay, so that's Novocaine from the new EP Still Life. It's track one. It's how the EP kind of leads off. I think it's a good gateway into the four songs too. As you did say, there's a bit of a transition there from It's a Crime, which is only a year old, but all this stuff recorded during kind of lockdown and quarantine, whatever you want to call it. You said that did have an effect on the way that you wrote music.
For sure, yeah. I mean, usually we're writing together in the garage, and we have the basic instruments like drum, bass, guitar, and synth. And this was this was more based around a lot of ideas that Simon had that were layered. And if they weren't that layered to begin with, he ended up adding a lot of different synth layers, or then we'd add in, like the scratching, or we'd add in all kinds of different percussion. And so it really changed the style of what we were doing. So I'd say it's a lot more mellow because of it. It's less based around, us just jamming out together and coming up with songs. And typically we do sort of adhere to more of like the indie rock type of vibe, but this is definitely, more electronic, a bit more, for us, more experimental.
Yeah, which is kind of the way, like, alternative rock has really been in that kind of arena, I think, for the last, I don't even know how long it is, but it feels like a couple of years where it's, the guitars may be less prominent than they once were in, alternative, rock, say 10 years ago or something. So, I mean, I think it reflects, just maybe a bit of a musical trend that's happened as well. There's stuff in the song Our Faces, which you guys have a video out for that one now. It's the final track on the EP, but there's some things that I hear in here again that it, like, just little elements from things that I like that are from kind of different places that I really dig. So, like, in the way you deliver some of the lyrics in this one, especially in the verses, there's a bit of I feel like there's a touch of a Gwen Stefani there. Like, I can picture her almost delivering that, which I think is a big compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
The song kind of has also, like I think of the alt rock of, maybe 15 years ago, things like Block Party, some of the stuff that was coming out of England at the time. I hear a little bit of that. And do you know the song Never Say Never by Romeo Void?
I love Romeo. I love that song. Yeah.
Okay, so I get a touch of that from Our Faces as well. Nice. Am I in the ballpark at all? Yeah,
for sure. And Romeo Void, I love so much. And we were also picturing a bit of like a Talking Heads vibe, like musically, with it's so sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like staccato, like the delivery, or I don't know, the guitars coming in here and there had a bit of this like 80s kind of vibe to us as well. And yeah, definitely, like, I mean, between the four of us, we have a massive array of influences that mostly, I'd say, span the 80s and 90s. Yeah,
like I can pick so many of them out in listening to the EP, in just different places. And like in Our Faces, I think it's like those little synth hits give it that kind of like you said, that Talking Heads, that bit of an like maybe an 80s or late set, kind of vibe to it, but without those, and they're so simple, it seems like they're just like a couple quick notes, then that element isn't even there, which I think is kind of a cool thing when you can just do something so small that gives you like a reference point to something else in music that you're a fan of.
Imaginary prisons are tough. Still laugh, seen enough. Where you're thinking all the wrong kinds of stuff. But your thoughts are just what's talking tough. shaking it off. Not this time. So come on, open up your eyes and evolve. 'Cause on the ground I found my true God. This life is all you have, so get living. Keep going over, 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 over. Keep going over, 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 over. Keep going over, over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait for the countdown. Our faces become forgotten places in the long run. Waiting for the countdown. Yeah, keep going through some hard times. Get back up good. Don't get so down. Don't get so down. Don't get so down.
What do you guys hope to have happen in 2021? There's the talks of some vaccines, pending approval. And I've even heard now that it might be one of those situations where if you want to go to a live show, you're going to have like a card that says you've been vaccinated. What are your
Right.
thoughts on all of that in terms of getting back to live music?
As soon as I can get a vaccine, I will get one.
Jam it into me. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some trepidation about it for sure, but I really just want to resume normal life and I want to do it safely. And it's been such a long time. And the sooner we can get back to, opening up these venues, opening up businesses, people, getting back to their regular lives, the better. But yeah, it does have to be done safely. And so like I'm all for getting a vaccine as soon as I can. And I would love to get back to playing. It's been ages. So yeah, we haven't been practicing with each other. We had a bit of a break in the summer where we saw each other and we'd stay in the garage outside and practice. But other than that, like, haven't really been able to get together in person, just video calls and stuff like that mostly.
Yeah, I guess with the warmer weather, it makes practice, a little bit more, you're able to do it, I guess. But once things get cold, you can't just all jam in the garage together, right? Like, so it's got to be weird. You have this new music that you can't rehearse.
Yeah, no, we've never rehearsed the songs together.
That's super weird.
Which is really weird. Yeah, because normally it's like we practice over and over before we ever record it. So it's completely different. And that was the other thing. It felt like, there was this, like the video, there was this improvisational type of feel to the songs, at least for my parts. When I was doing the vocals, I was recording them in my home, and the backup vocals especially, I was just throwing stuff out there, that just making it up as I went along, some of the backing stuff. So it was very different. Normally it's much more planned out.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun experiment almost to make a record, but maybe like it's a pain in the ass because of the way that the world's been in the last little while. But I always find I ask these questions to bands because everyone's got a different answer. Some people held back their music, like, no, we're not going to release it because we need to play behind it. And others were like, well, why stop? People need music. So there's all these different kind of perspectives. I think we're heading into maybe what could be a long, shitty winter, but with some hope, like the light at the end of the tunnel, like hopefully like April or May, that, we're going to start be able to get back into venues in, more than 50 people or whatever. It's different place to place, but I think people are really looking forward to that. And I can only imagine what it's like for musicians. It's not just the livelihood part of it, of going out and doing what you do as a band, but it's also that, like, that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like, so many people have had things, taken away, which is their thing, their release, their way to express or something like that, but none more than musicians.
Yeah. I mean, you can still write, you can still make art, you can still exercise. Like, there's so many other things you can still do on your own. It's not ideal maybe for some people, but you can still do it. Even acting, I mean, like, friends who are actors, they can still work. Like, those are opening up a little, those have opened up a bit, like the sets and everything. But music's really just been hit so hard. And it's doubly bad because a lot of musicians I know tend to work in the service industry as well, which is also just shut. So it's like double whammy of yeah.
Yeah, I have some friends here that do sound, like guitar techs, and they do sound and they play in bands. So like literally all of that stuff has just been kind of taken away. There's been some small like 50-person shows here and there, but it just doesn't. They've just got a weird kind of feeling to them. It's not it's not the same.
Yeah.
I think people are going to go mental when it, like, if we do get back to quote unquote normal, like in the springtime. It's mating season. It's like June. The weather's getting warmer. The clothing is getting less, and people are going to be able to go out and have drinks and see live music. I think it's going to be just a madhouse once that starts to happen.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of like exhibitionism and just people just going nuts. I think it'll be fun.
Debauchery. Yeah, there you go. If we could shift gears a little bit here, I want to talk about your other musical project called Kit Vale. So we hit on Neon Bloom having some of those hip hop elements kind of in there. Kit Vale takes it a bit further. There's the one single, It's Our Time. You've got that up on SoundCloud. So tell me where the project kind of came from and a little bit about that song.
Okay. So the idea for Kit Vale, I mean, the name and everything started years ago when I was living in New York and I was in a band called the Never Evers. I came up with a stage name for fun. So it was Kit Vale. I just liked the name, and Kit was my dad's name, which I always thought was a cool name. So I took it. And I've been meaning to have my own solo outlet for other songs that don't work with bands or with this band. And I have like a backlog of songs I want to get out, and I think they'd probably be best done as a solo act. And I can just kind of do them when I have time and put out whatever I want and not like, have to stress too much about it. So this one I really wanted to get out before the election in the US because it's kind of political. It's got a lot of those like undertones to it. And so I got together with my friend and producer Rob Sanzo, and we put that together in the fall and put it out there. And so that was my first release. Other songs, this is the thing, I have so many. It can range from like hip hop to a ballad to something more like acoustic sounding to a rock and roll song or something punky. So it's kind of like all over the place at the moment. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't know. We'll see. I might not worry too much about what I put out.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that idea of genre really matters that much anymore. It seems to matter less than it used to. So many bands can drift in and out of things, and nobody's like out there saying, stay in your lane like they kind of used to do. Like if you were, if you played punk rock and all of a sudden you did something that was a little bit lighter, people would be like, hey, you can't do that. You're selling out, you're doing this, and like, putting everything in boxes, which I think is happening a lot less, which is cool because artists have that, I think there was always going to be artists that didn't give a shit about, what people said but I think that now it's just kind of the norm for it's like, we can go this way, we can go that way, and it can all be like, to me, Kit Vale could have sounded like a Neon Bloom thing, and it wouldn't have sounded completely out of place. Yeah,
that's true.
I
think we could have done it. Yeah, just the timing and everything. I was like, I want to get it out now.
Right.
And just,
I like how you're able to, because when you hear a lot of, rap songs that have a hook to them as well, it's not always the same. You have the rapper and then you have the singer, whereas you kind of do both on this song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to keep something more melodic in there with the rapping, and sort of like softens it a little bit. I have another idea for one that doesn't have that. It's more like straight up just like rapping, but it's still like almost like indie rap. I don't know how you'd classify it, but like or indie hip hop or something. But
on SoundCloud, I think it had a tag of alternative hip hop, which is to me kind of fits, kind of in the lane of like Grandson and stuff like that, which is really popular now too.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I dig it. I think it's really interesting what you're doing with both musical projects, Neon Bloom and Kit Vale. For people to find you on the interwebs, where are you most active?
Okay, so probably for Neon Bloom, Facebook would be good. Or if you want to go to, we have our website is neonbloom.band. Instagram as well. We check that pretty frequently. So it's just Neon Bloom Music. And for Kit Vale, it's kitvale.com, or Instagram is Kit Vale Music, I believe, as well. So yeah, any of those places would be best, probably.
Amazing. Jenny Simpson of Neon Bloom Kit Vale, thank you so much. I'd like to wrap this with Kit Vale, and It's Our Time. It's a jam. It's one of those songs that it's impossible not to like. So thanks so much for doing the podcast, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Shining a light on the issue of domestic violence.
Called 911 before she was shot. She told police she had a restraining order against the suspect.
Take a seat, let me get my pen. Let me take a shot at this shit again. I need nothing now, only needed it. Then Lady Lazarus, I'm back again. Airtight, don't sink, just swim. Back on the attack like a hurricane. Lost it all, I keep trying. Poisoned by a mind so sick, I ain't lying. He be like crime sprees, I can't complain. And even now I know you're causing my pain, but I apologize, I'm staying alive. Quick like silver, I'm on the upswing, and I fought to get on this stage again. Now I don't bust rhymes, I fucking murder them. Lighting match and watch it burn. Oh, it's too dark. Running faster like we're out of time. Oh, it's our time.
Punishment for abortion. Yes, your principle. The answer is that.
I don't want to sound too much like a chauvinist, but when I come home to finish like that, I go through the roof.
There are two other women now who claim that they've been sexual harassment.
A person who's subjected is very hard to be attacked.
Some classic words from my favorite season in. Ladies, what's my weakness? And that's right. Let me take a minute just to talk to them about the crimes and the times I take the feminine. Time's up, the world's in flames. Time to learn the rules of a whole new game. Living in the past will make you go insane, and fuck your witch hunts and politicians. And I don't mean you, or even you. I mean the white beater, swat, ticket, tattoo, try to shoot us down and we come back stronger. Your baby was an asshole, Nancy Sinatra. Bang, bang, the future ain't charted. Stick around, we're just getting started. Lighting match and watch it burn. Oh, it's too dark. Running faster like we're out of time. Oh, it's our time. All we know, this is all the chance we'll get. Now we all know it's not okay anymore. Now we know it's spit rhymes till I'm tongue-tied. Speaking in tongues, read between the lines. When at a hot tide, live to see a life like suicide. When my brain blew out my pilot light, I could have died but lived through the night. Caught a life both heaven and hell. I can't tell you not to buy the shit that they gonna sell you. Some days it feels like I'm choking, so I write rhymes so don't you get smoke 'em and get high on your mind. Ideas thought provoking. Stand up for yourself, shape up, be outspoken. Live it loud, disrupt the paradigm. We only have it now, and now it's our time. Lighting match and watch it burn. Oh, it's too dark. Running faster like we're out of time. Oh, it's our time.
I said that if you also want my daughter, perhaps I can do it.
That's a woman for you.